What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophia, and if you are new here, this is my channel, Sophia Sees Beauty, where I review all things beauty and makeup. Today, I'm super excited. I'm going to be doing a full review, swatches, and demo of the new Nars Afterglow Cheek Blush Palette. So if you guys are interested in this palette and maybe you're thinking of purchasing this, keep watching. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm a beauty YouTuber and Instagrammer, and I produce content mostly on luxury and more prestige brands. So if you guys are interested in that, click the subscribe button to subscribe to all of my videos and hit the notification bell to hear about every time I do a new upload. Also, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I am relatively new here on YouTube, and so all of your thumbs up definitely help me with the YouTube algorithm, and I definitely appreciate it. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the product details. So this is the palette in question. Isn't she beautiful? I will be posting some close-ups of this in just a second, and I will also get into swatches in the next section. But a little bit about this palette. This retails for $59. You can purchase this on the Nars website and also on Sephora. I personally purchased this from Sephora with my own money, and it features 6 blush shades. And you'll see in the swatches that some of these are a little more glowy and shimmery than others. You can see some of them shining on my cheeks right now from the demo. And I would say this one right here, which is called Breathless, this one is definitely more of a highlighter, so maybe just kind of keep that in mind. We're getting a range of tones here. And I also want to mention that a Nars blush, if you were to buy in a single, is typically $30. So you're basically getting 6 Nars blushes for the price of what would typically be 2. Now you're getting a little bit more product in there, but nonetheless, it probably takes us a long time to get through all of this blush. So I think that this palette is also fantastic value. This product is made in Canada, and it also has a 12-month shelf life. I'm just going to read a couple of words from the description on Sephora so that we can hear a little bit more about this palette. It says, uncover Nars' best in glow with a new cheek palette featuring 6 blush shades. Deliver a natural rush of color from sheer shimmering peach to striking matte red. Superfine micronized powder pigments ensure an irresistibly soft, blendable application. So if you guys are familiar with the typical Nars blush formula, this is going to be very similar, where you're getting some shades that are a little more matte and some shades that are a little more shimmery. So once again, like if you have Nars blushes, this isn't going to be very different from a formula perspective. I think really what shines here are the shades. Now, I do want to just kind of go through the shades very briefly because some of these are repeats and are offered in singles in their permanent collection. This particular palette is limited edition, but again, some of the shades are in their permanent collection. And those shades are Savage, which is described as a red brown, Exhibit A, which is described as a red, and lastly, Liberté, which is described as an apricot. So maybe just keep that in mind. Like if you already have some of these shades in your collection, you might not want to pick up this particular palette, but I'm going to do live swatches of all of these shades for you guys so you can make that decision for yourself. And I'm also going to be applying them to my face so you can kind of see the process of how I got this very over blushed look. So hopefully that will be helpful as you decide whether or not you want this palette. I also just want to quickly shout out to the packaging. This is absolutely stunning. I love this beautiful reflective Nars rose gold packaging, but it does get a lot of my fingerprints on it, which it's kind of bound to happen. I definitely prefer this to the matte black packaging that they have for a lot of the singles in their main line, because I find that I just get like foundation and powders and all kinds of gunk on those, and they get really gross really quickly. Does anybody else have that problem? So I much prefer this sort of really beautiful luxe reflective packaging because I can just wipe it clean and the fingerprints just don't bother me as much. I also just want to point out, Nars is not a brand that is usually super on my radar because they're usually always including a lot of the same shades in their palette. So we're always getting Orgasm, we're always getting Laguna, and something that I really like about this particular palette is that they didn't include those shades. They kind of gave us a little bit more of a range, and we have some, you know, what are more like highlighters or glowier blushes. We have really poppy colors, and then we have more subdued colors. So I think that makes this very unique. And one of the reasons why I also picked up this particular blush palette is because last year in 2021, they released the Orgasm on the Beach palette. And this is definitely a different formula, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. But I love this palette so much. I used this nonstop last year. I recently just took this on vacation with me again, and this palette was just so bomb that I said, you know what, I have to try out their like spring collection palette as well. I also noticed on the Nars website as I was researching for this video that this palette has now become available again. So I will link this down below, and later on in the video, I'll do kind of like a quick little comparison of how I see these being different so that you guys can decide maybe you want the palette from last year with this particular type of formula, or maybe you want to pick up this palette, which does have some existing shades in the main collection. Okay guys, I think those were all of the main details that you needed to know. And now that we know that, let's get into some swatches. Okay, party people, I have you up close so we can swatch some of these blushes. And I got my sleeves rolled up, so let's get into it. Starting off with this color, which is called Breathless. And I don't know about you guys, but like, this is a highlighter. This ain't a blush. It is an absolutely shimmering, beautiful, kind of peachy highlighter. I think this is gonna work for a lot of skin tones. I also think this would be really great on the eyes. I think I'm gonna do that later on in the demo, but I just wanna show you, it looks so, it's so pretty. This also feels extremely silky, almost a little tad creamy to the touch. I would say that the shimmery colors in here, which you'll see also with this one called Savage, they have a really creamy feel to them. So I'm actually really impressed with this formula, and I think this is going to work for a lot of people, whether it's on the cheekbones or on the eyes. Also, if you guys are in the market for blush, I also just did a video review of the new Danessa Myricks Dewy Cheek and Lip Palette, so I will link that here in case you guys are in the market for blush and you're shopping for, you know, some new things for spring because you're kind of in that mood. I will also link that video here. Next up, we have Devotion, which is this nude shade. And Devotion is really just like your perfect pinky nude. It looks boring in the pan, but like I love nude blush. And as soon as I saw this palette, I saw that color and I was like, I like that. And it's not, I don't think I have anything quite this tone in my collection, so I'm excited to try that one. Next up, we have this color, which is called Savage, and this is like a sparkling copper shade. So once again, this shimmery formula is very, very creamy, and look how beautiful that is. This is what it looks like when you sort of blend it out. I think this is going to be an absolutely stunning shade if you want kind of like a bronze look, or you want to look maybe a little tanner than you actually are. And don't be afraid of this if you have pale skin. I think it really just depends on the type of brush that you use. And if you have deeper skin, this is going to be a fantastic way to just kind of glow up your cheekbones. So I think that I'm really excited. I like all these colors, guys. I really like them. Next up, we have Exhibit A, which is this striking red. Woo! Look at that, man. Look at that. That is a red if I've ever seen one. Check it out. And this, similar to Savage, I think the same thing about this. I remember having this in a palette. I think I decluttered it years ago, but years ago I had this color in a Nars palette, and you can use this if you're very pale. Like, don't let this color scare you. You just need to use a very, very small amount. So it can look gorgeous. So you can kind of see here where it's blended away. You can see how it gives this kind of beautiful flushed orange effect. And I think if you're pale, this particular color is good if you're gonna do just a very simple eye look. Like, keep it about the blush, keep it about the flushed cheeks, maybe even a red lip, but keep the eyes like somewhat bare. Next up, we have Liberté, which is this rose shade. And that's just kind of like your basic rose. It's maybe like a little bit corally when you swatch it, but this is just kind of like a really good shade for spring. And lastly, we have Flirt, which is this purpley shade here. And I just want to show you, this one does have, it's not as shimmery as the highlighter and as Savage, but it does have a little bit of like a metallic nature to it. And this is a really cool shade. I don't think I have any shade like this in my collection. It's like a magenta. It's like a shimmery magenta shade, and it's just a really fun shade. I'm really enjoying that. All right, guys, hopefully that was helpful. I will just post some close-ups right now of all the colors swatched on my hand in daylight, so you can get another super, super close view of all of these if you want to screenshot it so you can remember this is what all of the colors look like in their totality. I also just want to show you guys the key differences between the Afterglow palette and then the Orgasm on the Beach palette. So As you can see, like the tones are pretty different, but also the formula is very different. So if you look at this, you can see it's kind of, hopefully you can tell, it's kind of like a baked gelée formula, whereas this one is like the traditional Nars blush formula. And this one is also much more glowy. If you're a fan of glowy blush, I would definitely check this out. It is limited edition. This came out last year in 2021, but then it pretty much sold out. And I was very excited as I was researching this palette to find that this one is back in stock. It is on the Nars website though. At this moment, it is not available at Sephora. This is one of my favorite blush palettes, and I use these shadows all over my eyes and my face. And so that's what we're gonna do with this one in the demo. I just wanted to show you guys kind of the difference in the formula and just the fact that this is a more like traditional formula from Nars. And this one is like a very, very different, unique baked gelée, shimmery, glowy formula. So just wanted to kind of show you guys that in case you're going in between these, and hopefully that was helpful. Now that we've done those swatches, let's get into the demo. Okay guys, now it's time for the demo. What colors are we gonna use? I think what I'm gonna try and do is do one look on one cheek and another look on another, so we can demo as many of these blushes as possible. You can get a good idea of how they look like on my skin tone and how they might look on yours. Let's start off with kind of like a nude look on this side. I'm gonna go into this color, which is called Devotion. I have a bunch of my favorite brushes here that I'm gonna be using, and I'm gonna start off with the Chikuhodo Beautylish Lunar New Year brush. This is the Year of the Tiger brush. I actually have a review up of this brush, so you guys can check it out if you're interested in. But we are going in with Devotion, and I'm gonna do this on this side. And this is just a very, very light nude blush. And I should mention, all I applied before this was just a very light layer of the Gucci bronzer. So you guys can kind of tell the before and after here. Here's the bronzed look, and then here it is with Devotion, just a little bit more flushed. I'm also gonna take that up here on the temples. I like to do this with my blush. I like to kind of put it everywhere where I would normally flush, which is kind of the ears, the cheeks, even sometimes I do the throat as well. This color here, Devotion, can also be a really good shade in the palette that you use to blend out some of the poppier shades like Exhibit A and Flirt. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're like, that's too light for me. Don't forget, you can also use that for blending to kind of tone down the other colors. And so you can sort of see the difference. It's very subtle, but this is the kind of blush that I would use if I was doing a bolder eye look, a smoky eye. I always reach for those types of shades. So I really want to bronze this up. So I'm going to go into this glowier shade called Savage, and I'm going to be using the Koyudo Lunar New Year brush. I also have a video up on this one as well. So if you guys are curious, you can go watch that. But I think that the shape of this, and because it's a little bit sort of airier and just wispier, it's gonna help this, what is otherwise kind of a little bit of a darker color for my skin tone, go on a little bit smoother. Woo, that is packed with pigment. We're just gonna blend that out, and I like to take it up on the nose. I put a lot on this brush, and this is the first time I'm using this, so I just wanna show you the glow that that gives off. I almost think that it's better that we put a little bit too much, because then those of you with darker skin tones than me, which is most people, because I am the lightest color on the foundation spectrum, I just wanna show you the gorgeous glow that that gives. I think in the future, I'm just gonna dip a little bit less. And so I'm just blending that out with Devotion. I also think that this will look a lot more normal once I get an eye look and mascara on. Next up, we're gonna be doing a little bit of highlighting with the Breathless shade, and I'm using this little Sonia G detail brush. This is from her Lotus collection. And yeah, these blushes are very pigmented. Like, I'm going into this and I'm seeing, just want to swipe that so you guys can see what it looks like before I blend it out. Wow, that's really pretty. And so we added even more glow than what we had before. All right, so this is kind of like our nude bronzy side. I think that looks absolutely beautiful. And I think that once we get the eye look on, it's not gonna look so blushy, but I really just wanted you guys to be able to see the color so you can make a good purchasing decision for your skin tone. Next up, let's play with some of the poppier shades. I think I'm gonna give Exhibit A a try and show you guys how you could apply this for a paler skin tone. And I'm gonna be using this Chikuhodo Maquille brush. This is a lot longer and fluffier than the other brushes I've been using, and so we're gonna give this a try. So I'm just gonna lightly dip, and you can see how much that picked up, and so we're gonna put it on our hands so that we only have a very little bit. And there, you can see how this is a very red tone flush, but you just need a little bit, okay? Don't do what I just did with Savage, okay? I went all savage with Savage, and now with Exhibit A, like, I've learned my lesson. So that's what Exhibit A looks like, and we'll add a tiny bit more so you guys can see how this builds up. So that is your beautiful, like, oh, I'm just like a little bit embarrassed, kind of like bashful cheek. So that is Exhibit A. See, that wasn't so scary. Okay, let's go into Liberté, which is this rose shade right here on the apples of the cheeks. Once again, using Chikuhodo Lunar New Year brush. And I'm just gonna apply that to the apples. So if you want something that is very, very blushed, I would go like this, and I would kind of almost blend it into the nose, because I like a really flushed look. You don't have to do this, but I want to make sure you understand how this one is a lot rosier than Exhibit A. That is really pretty, and I'm just, once again, building it up almost a little bit too much, just so you can see how it looks. Lastly, I really want to show you guys all of the blushes in this palette. So we're going to go into Flirt, which was that magenta shade, and I think I'm going to put that up here where we have a bare spot, and we're gonna see how it looks. Okay, see, I was much more careful this time with these shades. So you can see that is, and we'll put even more on, see? Like, obviously I wouldn't put this much, but I just wanna show you guys what that looks like on the face. It's a gorgeous magenta color. This is gonna look really good if you have like a very tan or olive skin tone. I think it's gonna look good on all skin tones, but this is just kind of what I envision, like the skin tone I feel like it would really pop nicely on. Okay, friends, so you got a little bit of a taste about how all of these look on the face. Now I'm gonna do just like a quick eye look with this palette so I can show you guys how you can also use it on other parts of your face. Alrighty, so we're gonna do a quick little look on the eyes, and I'm gonna go into this color Devotion and put it all in the crease using this Wayne Goss number 16. So just sweeping that into the crease, kind of blending it out, and this is really gonna tie your whole look together. Next, I'm gonna be going into Breathless using a Sonia G soft shader. All right, so this is what I'm excited for. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh my gosh, that looks so pretty on the eyes. This is a really good color for you to use. If you wanna do a bold blush look, this would be a good look on the eyes. Just something that's very bright and feminine and youthful. And so you have sort of like your bright standout cheeks and then a very kind of like simple shimmery eye. Applying Breathless to the inner corner and lower lash line as well. Now I'm gonna go in with Savage, and I'm gonna put that on the outer corner with a little Sephora blender brush. Just gonna put that in the outer corner to create a little bit of a bronzy look. See, like, you don't need to go and buy another Nars like quad. A lot of their quads are very, very neutral, and as you can see, you can just put these on the eyes. Like, you have so much product in here. And when I go on vacation, I just pack this. Like, I take that Orgasm on the Beach palette and I use that all over my face, because especially if I'm going on like a warm weather vacation or something where I just want to relax, like, I'm not there to be doing like groundbreaking eyeshadow and blush looks. Like, I just want something that's really easy. And I also really love this kind of like bronzy monochromatic look for that type of vibe. So I really, really enjoy how multi-use these pigments are. I just put on some mascara. I am wearing the Rare Beauty mascara so I can show you guys what this looks like in its totality. So here is kind of the bronzy side. Give you guys a good look at how that glimmers and shimmers, and I will even turn my lights down just a little bit so you can kind of see. I don't think it's emphasizing any texture or anything like that, and I think everything blended together really seamlessly. And here is kind of the brunchier, poppier side that we did with Exhibit A Flirt and what was that other color called? Liberté, with Liberté on the apples of the cheeks. Turning off my light so you guys can see that in just kind of pure daylight. And you can definitely tell that this side is a lot more luminous because we use those glowier blushes on this side and the highlight. And then this side is, it's not glowy, but it's just a little bit more matte. It's a tiny bit toned down from like a shimmery perspective. Anyway, guys, I hope that that demo was helpful for you all. Now let's get into my final thoughts. Okie dokie, now it's time for my final thoughts. What do I think of this palette? So what do I think of this palette? I think that you're getting really amazing quality in terms of blushes. I think that if you are familiar with the Nars formula, you're not going to be disappointed with these. It's going to be the same. So just kind of keep that in mind. There really aren't any new formulas in this particular palette. I am a little disappointed that 3 of the shades in this palette, which that's half of the shades, are repeats. But for me, I actually don't have any Nars blushes. I know. Come on, Sophia. Or I have one. I have one that is called Tempted, which is gorgeous, but it's very different from all of the blushes that are in this particular palette. And so for me, that made this palette extremely worth it. And it also made this palette a very, very good value. I think that this palette is going to work for a lot of skin tones. And one of the reasons why I purchased it, which is kind of what I mentioned in the beginning of the video, is that they didn't put Orgasm in here. They didn't put Laguna in here. They gave us a nice mix of shades. They gave us a nice range of tones. So it's like, if I want just something super basic, I'm gonna use Devotion and I'm gonna use Breathless. And I'm just gonna put that all over the face and be done. And then if I want something bronzy, I can go in with Savage. If I want something sort of like poppy and flush, I can go in with Exhibit A. You guys understand what I'm talking about. Like, that's what I look for in a blush palette. I don't want 6 shades of peach or 6 shades of pink. That's just me. So that's kind of what drew me to this, is that it seemed like something a little bit different. And then I knew I could also count on the formula because they weren't trying to do anything groundbreaking. They're just giving us some good blushes in a range of tones that's gonna work for a lot of different skin tones. So with that, I definitely would recommend this palette. I just don't think you need it if you already have a lot of Nars blushes. Also, it's not really a good value if you already have a lot of Nars blushes. Like, the value component of this kind of goes away if you already have the shades. So I think that these palettes as well, this is a really great way for people who maybe don't buy a lot of makeup or don't have a lot of shades to kind of try more things from Nars and really like get into Nars, which is definitely what happened to me. Like, Nars really wasn't on my radar for a while. Then I bought the Orgasm on the Beach palette, and now all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I really like Nars again. So for me, it really depends on the color story that they're putting out. I know that they have a lot of products, but that's kind of why I got this, again, because of the tones and the shades that are included in this palette. I also really like how multifunctional this is. Personally, I like to put my blush on my eyes. I like to create beautiful monochromatic looks, and I like to show you guys how you can really make use of the makeup that you already have. I don't think that you need to go and buy another like eye quad or eye palette from Nars. I know they have some really nice ones out there, but you know, you guys let me know. Personally, I don't think that Nars is they're not producing any color stories that are groundbreaking. And for that reason, whenever they come out with new releases, I sort of think, I don't really need that. I feel like I already have that in my collection. So I like that they included some bright shades in here, but also some that are really workable for beautiful eyeshadow looks. So I can do cheeks, highlighter, and my eyes all in one go. Super travel friendly. There you go. Now, lastly, if you are comparing this against the Orgasm on the Beach palette, my general thoughts are, if you already have other blushes in your collection and you already have Nars blushes, I honestly would get this because this is probably going to sell out again. I will link it down below, but I just think that this is a more luxurious and different formula from Nars. I think if they're going to be putting out something different, get this, because you can get 3 of these shades normally in their usual collection. And in here, yes, you do have like an Orgasm shade, but it's a different formula. It's this really beautiful glowy baked gelée formula. So Personally, I still think I like this palette better. Not that I don't like this one, but I think if you're choosing between the two, they are the same price. And so I would say get this one because you get a shade that's like a little bit like a bronzer, you get 2 highlighters, and then you get 3 very beautiful glowy blushes. And I also think that these work and blend a little bit more easily on different skin types because of the smoother formula. They're a little bit more of like an airbrush look. That being said, if you don't like glowy blush, don't get this palette because this is like a very glowy formula, but it's very smooth and it reminds me of a lot of other much more expensive, very, very luxury highlighty blushes and highlighters. Okay friends, I hope that was super helpful for you guys and you enjoyed the review. Comment down below and let me know if you think you're going to be getting this palette and what you think of Nars. If there's anything else from Nars also that you want me to review or you want to recommend to me, please let me know. I'm always interested in trying new things and I definitely trust your guys' recommendations. If you guys are new here and you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you. I read every single comment and I'm always paying attention to what you guys are saying and I love interacting with you both here on YouTube and on my Instagram. And if you haven't already, please give your girl a thumbs up, okay? Look how many blushes I put on my face. Hit me up with a little thumbs up. I would love that from you. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful new year and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.